Well, well, well. Everybody's excited about Christian Parker. But do we really know what we should be excited about? I mean, Christian Parker has never been a defensive coordinator. He's never called plays or anything like that. Why should we be excited about Christian Parker? Well, on tonight's live stream for a little while, I'm going to try to give us some insight on why we should be excited about Christian Parker from his own mouth, as well as from what others say, and based on some of the results that he's been a part of. Cowboy fans, I'll be honest with you. I think we should absolutely be excited about Christian Parker. And let's talk about who Christian Parker really is. Let's go. Yep. What is going on, Cowboy fans? I'm a little late to the party today. Man, we are waiting on a snowmageddon, ice storm, whatever over here in Dallas. Been messing around outside trying to mess with my pool, but nevertheless, I had to come and talk about the Dallas Cowboys. Let's go! Welcome, Cowboy fans and Cowboy haters alike. I'm the G, and I'm the host of Let's Talk Cowboys, where we talk facts. And as you come into this live stream, please hit that like button, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know the next time we post another video or go live. And if you haven't become a channel member subscriber yet, what are you waiting on? We have a lot of great things coming up on this channel the rest of this season. Now let's talk facts. Christian Parker. We really don't know who Christian Parker is. But I think the best way to know who Christian Parker is just kind of listening to him in his own words. And again, seeing some of the accomplishments. And then I want to show you some of Vic Fangio's system. Because I really don't know what Christian Parker is going to run. But I got a feeling he's probably going to run his own version of the Vic Fangio defense. I'm sure he's going to add some wrinkles. Because whenever you are watching somebody, you're watching them, you're saying, I like this, but you're also saying, and there's some things that I would do to enhance this or make it better, or in different situations, I'll do this. But this dude, Christian Parker, fundamentally, I think when we listen to him in his own words, I think you're going to understand why the Dallas Cowboys front office were so excited about getting Christian Parker and why they went ahead, pulled the trigger on him, because in the grand scheme of things, was Jim Leonard going to be any better? Was Durante Jones going to be any better? I can tell you this is a great move for the Cowboys, at least I believe right now. Youngest defensive coordinator in football, I believe, 34 years old. So tonight, we're going to try to get to know Christian Parker. So I'm going to let you hear him in his own words so you can kind of understand Parker's philosophy. We're going to look on the internet and look at a little bit of his history. I want to talk about what he brings to the Cowboys. We'll look a little bit at Fangio's scheme and what we could maybe expect from Christian Parker. Got a Matty Dub video where he kind of talked about Christian Parker. And we'll also, inside of Parker's philosophy, we're going to listen to 105.3 The Fan. Bobby Belt is going to give us some insight on Christian Parker. So that's going to be our show for today. Parker's philosophy, Parker's history, what he brings, toughness, defensive back success, Fangio scheme, Matty Dub's video. Let's go. Let's get a quick roll call. Let's see who's up in here so far. Top Gunner, what up? He said, I'm pulling for the bro Parker to succeed and all. But let's pump the brakes a little too, still of the unknown until we have the right talent on defense. But this is what I'm excited about, Top Gunner. The unknown. That's the one part we ought to be excited about. It's the unknown. Jerry decided to go with the unknown. But I will say this. I don't think he's as unknown as we're saying he is. I think he's unknown as a defensive coordinator, but I don't think he's unknown as far as his success goes. We're going to watch it. JTX May said Cowboys are set to interview Vikings defensive line coach Marcus Dixon. Yeah, White Cotton is possibly going to the Titans. I saw that the other day. Yep. JTX May, I think at the very minimum. Maybe he wants to bring in some of his own people. JP the Ghoul, Big Moss Dog, Yay Mar, Stephanie Breeden, what's going on? Blue Star in this thing, what up? About them Cowboys. Katharina Kiss, we them boys. Keek 7144, Big Moss Dog, yes sir. Big Rumbowski, and we waiting on Snowmageddon according to what they saying. I don't want to laugh too hard. It's supposed to get crazy tomorrow. Yeah. Carl Williams, what up? 72 Chevelle. JCT Slice, he said if this guy can just be passable, I'll love him. Dak and those receivers showed that they could score with anyone. We just need enough stops. We still have 4. Yeah, let's go. Yay, Ma, Brandy, what's going on? If Parker was going to another team, he would be a good signing, but because he's coming to us, he ain't good. The hypocrisy. I'll tell you this, the consensus around the league has mostly been good from what I've seen, though. Dudley in this thing. SM Anderson, what's going on? Good to see you. Miss Matrix, what's going on? Good to see you. Frederick Johnson, what up? Poopy D, he's got my back. What up, Poopy D? Quentin Warner, appreciate that super chat. Quentin Warner, the players are going to be pivotal. The players are going to be pivotal. They can't do him like they did Matt Eberflus. This guy seems to have too good of a defensive mind for the Cowboys not to get him the players. They got to get him the players. We'll look a little bit at that tonight too. Terry Tatum, what's up? Lynn 9030 up. More Eddie. Steve Campanella, what up? Campanella, he said name 3 things you'd like to see them do with 3 things you'd like to see them do with Christian Parker. Okay, I'm gonna put that back in the savings. We're gonna come back to it. Appreciate you rocking with me tonight. More Eddie, what up? Christian Legal, what's up? Derek Williams, what up, man? Mr. Mojo, what up? Lucky Fullwood, what up? Yeah, we got to hit in free agency. Calvin Jefferson, what up? Ty Howard, we live. Yes, sir. All right, let's get this thing going. Best chat on YouTube. All right, man, my screen, the thing that I used for my pictures broke on me yesterday, but it's all good. So we're going to go with that super dark, deep black tonight. But nevertheless, let's kind of get into Parker's philosophy. And let's let Parker tell us in his own words. Let's let him tell us in his own words kind of how he likes to coach. This is from Bobby Belt's X account. Bobby Belt has been posting some videos about him, and then we'll listen to Bobby Belt talk about him after we watch a couple of videos. Let's check this out.
So each day gets graded from your zone eyes, your coverage, your man discipline, your communication, meeting room, how we're handling that. All those things kind of go into one bucket in terms of how it's a daily evaluation. So we usually try to give them something that we know get better at or we didn't take a step forward at each day, try to progress on that. But I wouldn't say like we're really leaning into something that we want the prototype for that position to be. It's more sort of performance on the field. I would say the body types are less important, more about the execution of what we're asking them to do. So each day gets graded from your zone eyes, your coverage, your man discipline, your communication, meeting room, how we're handling that. All those things kind of go into one bucket in terms of how it's a daily evaluation. So we usually try to give them something that we know get better at, or we didn't take a step forward at each day, try to progress on that. But I wouldn't say like we're really leaning into something that we want the prototype for that position to be. It's more so the performance on the field. I would say.
Now, he's telling us something about the way that he looks at things. He's absolutely the opposite of Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus says, I need the guys. I need a certain type of guy to be able to perform in my defense. But what Christian Parker is saying, we're not so much concerned about the prototypical player on our or in the philosophy. What we're worried about is us putting that player in the best position to succeed according to his skill set. That's powerful. That's powerful. So that means that your approach to your success is you're looking at what this player is good at. Total opposite of what Matt Eberflus was. Let me read a comment I saw from Michael Plant. Michael Plant. Michael Plant said, I'm disappointed that we didn't get Jim Leonard. Go Cowboys. Michael Plant, let me tell you what I believed happened with Jim. Let me tell you what I believe happened with Leonard. The Cowboys realized something. And understand this. The Cowboys know the background of this stuff too. I think sometimes we discount that, Michael Plant. They're probably listening to the tea leaves, that they're probably being told, you're probably not going to be able to get Jim Leonard. Because this is what the Cowboys were fighting against as it applied to Jim Leonard. Vance Joseph is probably going to be a head coach again. So if he goes, think about what happened with Brian Flores. The Cowboys wanted Brian Flores. But Brian Flores made it clear after he got the Washington Commanders interview that he was either going to be a head coach or he was going back to the Minnesota Vikings. The contract is already there. So the thing with Jim Leonard, I believe the Cowboys started listening to the tea leaves and they realized he was either going to stay in Denver. Matt LaFleur, with Hafley being promoted, he was either going to go to the Green Bay Packers. And then thirdly, John Harbaugh, now in New York, was probably going to vie for the services of Jim Leonard also. So I believe the Cowboys started listening to the tea leaves, probably talking to people. I think they realized, Michael Plant, they were not going to get Jim Leonard. And so the Cowboys said, we're going to move on and make a decision. We're going to move on and make a decision. And I think they could have got Durante Jones, but I think collectively they decided to go with Christian Parker. And so, of all of these defensive coordinators that they could have went with, let's think about Jim Leonard. If I'm not mistaken, Jim Leonard doesn't have the credentials that Christian Parker has. Man, I don't think we understand. We're going to look at his history in a moment. I don't think we understand the credentials that Christian Parker has. This dude got a Super Bowl ring. He's literally responsible for the secondary that absolutely destroyed Patrick Mahomes. He's responsible for the secondary that has given Dak Prescott problems year after year. Green Bay, Denver, and then with the Eagles. Gave Dak Prescott all kinds of problems. So, in the grand scheme of things, because when you think about Jim Leonard, he doesn't have any credentials. Yeah, I know he coached at Wisconsin in college, but brothers and sisters, let me tell you something. College is nowhere close to the pros, because we have seen many college coaches come to the pros and fold like a lawn chair after a wedding. Now, college ain't the same thing. Ask Nick Saban. College and the pros are not the same thing. And so when we think about Christian Parker, if the Cowboys get this guy, the players, you're going to watch a very successful defensive coordinator. I think you're going to see a very defensive coordinator, a very successful defensive coordinator. I think he'll get the defense probably around mid-package first season. Second season, I believe, which will be 2027 season, they'll have players and they'll get more players. 2027, the Cowboys will probably have a top 10 defense. That's what I'm predicting based on the track record. Didn't mean to laugh there, but that's what I'm talking about based on the track record. But again, Michael Plant, that's why the Cowboys were not able to get Jim Leonhard. And again, I'm not as disappointed about Jim Leonhard. I'll be honest with you. I really wasn't attached to Jim Leonhard. I know people were talking about Jim Leonhard, but in the grand scheme of things, he doesn't have more skins. He doesn't have more skins than Christian Parker. And I'm going to show you by Parker's history. We looked at some of that yesterday, but I think we need to show it again so we can understand the gravitas of what this young man has been responsible for. You know, the Bible says something that I think is powerful. Paul told Timothy, let no one despise thee because of thy youth. Just because he's a young coach, and I think he's the youngest defensive coordinator in football, let's not associate that with he's not going to do good. I don't know if he's going to do good, but I can tell you this. Man, this dude's got some pedigree. Man, Vic Fangio has emerged over the last 3 to 4 years as one of the top defensive minds in this game. And so he's been under him, and he's been kind of orchestrating he's been kind of orchestrating the defensive backs. And that's why I want to look back at his history. He's been incredible. Man, he's got a track record of defensive backs that, man, Jim Leonhard don't have that kind of, he don't have that kind of track record as it applies to defensive backs. And so when you think about the back end, that's where we were the worst this past season. Shoot, Christian Parker is a godsend, man. When you think about how he's frustrated Dak Prescott, when you think about he's over the defensive backs, when you think about how we struggled on the back end with our defensive backs, no, this guy's going to be a godsend. All right, let's check him out. He's got another interview here where he's talking about his philosophy. Let's check him out.
Number one, it's important to definitely engage with the players, letting them know that, number one, that you care. And once they figure out that you care and you're invested in them and their overall development, then the schematics and the technique and everything else take care of itself. But I think that it's very important to engage with those guys, be very thorough and detailed, and not really leave anything to chance, so they know exactly when they go on the field, they have a very distinct plan. They understand what we're expecting from them, and they know what the expectation is from each other, and moving forward in that direction. Number one, it's important to definitely.
And there he is again. There it is again. Yeah. His philosophy seems to be very simple. Understanding who your players are, having a relationship with those players, making sure they know their job and they execute on the field. So, man, I'm telling you, he sounds like he's got his mind together. So I'm very, very excited to see what he's going to bring to the table. But as far as everything I'm listening to, he sounds like the man for the job. He definitely sounds like the man for the job. Let's mosey on over here to 105.3 The Fan. It is pretty obvious that Bobby Belt is a huge fan of Christian Parker. Huge fan of Christian Parker. So let's check that out. And also, since then, it looks like there's a couple other videos that have come up. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of looking at, they've gotten quite a bit of material now on him over there on 105.3 The Fan. So, matter of fact, rather than listening to Bobby Belt, there's a guy named John Owning from PFF. We'll still probably get to Bobby Belt. Let's kind of see what John Owning is talking about as it pertains to Christian Parker and his scheme. Let's check this out.
So, what can you tell us? What are we getting here? Let me ask you this: when a defensive assistant takes a job, do you assume that he's basically going to run the system that he comes from? Like, how much Fangio are we getting here? You think?
Yeah, I think it depends on the guy, obviously. Like, depends on what stops they had before. There are, some defense assistants that had coached under multiple different defensive coordinators that play multiple different schemes. But when you have a guy like Christian Parker who's really majored in the Vic Fangio schemes for most of, I think, the last half decade outside of 1 year with Vance Joseph. So my understanding is it's going to be like very Vic Fangio adjacent. Obviously, he's going to have his own little spin on things just from his personal preferences, and maybe some of his stops along the way will change a little bit, but I'm guessing it's going to be very similar to what Fangio and the Fangio adjacent teams have been in the NFL.
Hey, John, you're so smart talking.
That's kind of what I'm thinking, too, about Christian Parker. I'm sure he's going to have his own version. I think he's going to have his own version of what Vic Fangio does. But what I'm excited about is I want to see if he can make it even better. Because you know how it is when you're under somebody, when you're under somebody and you're kind of, watching what they do. Sometimes you're watching them saying, man, I think we could do this better. I think we could do this better. I think we can do this better. I think we can do this better. Or if I was running this defense, I would tweak this and tweak that. So I do think we're going to see some of Vic Fangio. Probably about, at this point, you'll probably see about 70% Fangio. But I do think he's going to add his own little wrinkle to whatever Fangio did. So I'm very excited to see what he does.
About these things, so I'm going to ask you this question, and seriously, I'm trying to learn here. Does Dallas have the personnel to run the style of scheme he wants to run?
I think so, because a big thing that you hear a lot of the Fangio people say, and especially Christian Parker in a lot of his interviews, is they don't really have a type of player. They like to really, their scheme is very malleable around the skill sets of the players they have at hand. They can play, like, say they have a nickel who's really much more accustomed to playing man than playing zone. They can play more man techniques, more man match, more zone match schemes. If you have guys that are a little bit better playing zone, playing off, they have little adjustments in their schemes to do that. So I think, they have the players. They have players to be able to do it. You just want to get higher caliber players so that it can be run at a higher level, obviously. But I think the bare bones of the defense is there, that you can do a lot of the things, especially up front. I think the five-man fronts, the kind of, people say 3-4, but it's more of like a five-man surface on the line of scrimmage. I think that's going to really fit the Cowboys' personnel they have right away with Kenny Clark, Oso Digizua, and Quinnen Williams. The ability to get all three of those guys on the field one-on-one matchups, I think, is going to allow them to have a lot of success in that department.
So I was going to ask you about that is, as far as like, do any of these players that we're working on in the draft now, like, okay, Falk from Auburn, a 6'6", 285, is that something that maybe in the old scheme kind of out of place, but now in this scheme more likely back in place?
I do think he's a better fit in the Fangio Christian Parker scheme, because when they're playing up front, they play with a lot of light boxes. And when you play with a lot of light boxes, you have to find a way to steal gaps. And the way that the Fangio, adjacent, the way that Christian Parker and those guys have typically done it is they play a lot of gap and a half techniques. And that sounds like really crazy, really wild. Like I've heard single gap, I heard two gap. What's the difference? It's kind of like they play single gap, but they're not, instead of attacking upfield through their gap, they're attacking into their gap, holding their position, and then once the ball carrier declares where he's going to go, then you'll see them shed and go to an adjacent gap. So that's a way that they can make the run fit sure despite having a lighter box. So I think a guy like Falk, who's a big, strong guy, really good against the run, has the ability to play with extension, peek in one side, play in one primary gap, and then shed and go to another because he's so long and he knows how to utilize his length really well. I think that, especially in the run game department, he's someone who fits really well into what Parker and the Fangio type of guys like to do.
So what you know about the linebackers in the draft then? Okay, like the Allens, Georgia, Hill at Texas. Is there somebody in particular that we're not thinking about now that we need to think about with those inside linebackers? Or was that always going to be, an area no matter what you were going to have to?
I think that was going to be an area no matter what that you had to look at, just because the Cowboys' personnel and talent in that department was so subpar last year.
Right.
Now, one thing that that Fangio has done in the past, he will run a lot of what's called penny fronts, and that only has it has 5 quote-unquote defensive linemen, but it's really like 3 interior defenders and 2 edge defenders, and only 1 linebacker on the field. So if you're really have subpar talent at the linebacker position, these type of fronts are a way to kind of limit their exposure, but still getting other people on the field. That's why in this scheme, the nickel is so important, because he's going to have a lot of run fit responsibilities in this scheme. And if you have a nickel that can not only play the pass well, but he can also fit against the run, think of what someone like Nick Emmanwori has been doing with the Seattle Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Mike McDonald's talked a lot about that. They're playing basically a 4-3, just a 4-3 under in their nickel personnel, because Nick Emmanwori, I'm saying his name all messed up, but you guys know what I'm talking about.
Emmanwori, yep.
We know who you're talking. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
His ability to fit against the run allows them to play a lot of base package schemes, even though they're in their nickel personnel. And I think that's very similar to what you'll see Christian Parker type of do if they don't have the talent at the linebacker position going into this year.
John Owning with us here in the G-Bag Nation. I love the focus, too, when it comes to, the nickel and the slot corner. Because I think, John, you're seeing teams move their best receiver into the slot. We had that conversation with Deron Bland at camp. And Bland he was working for the contract. He wanted to stay on the outside. I think you've always been able to make a case that maybe the big money corner should be the slot corner. So when you look at the Cowboys' current personnel and how Christian Parker might want to utilize that position, do they have anybody in-house that you think can do that, or are you looking at anybody in free agency or through the draft that maybe they'd have their eye on?
I definitely think that, and it's funny, Ted Nguyen at The Athletic just wrote a big old write-up about the nickel position, the slot cornerback position, and how it's becoming much more valuable in today's NFL. And he actually had a lot of really good quotes from the Eagles safety coach, who was kind of Christian Parker's right-hand man as the full defensive backs coach and passing game coordinator. And he was talking about how, historically teams value the outside cornerbacks as the most important, the most vital person in that defensive backfield. But he was making the argument, and from what Ted says, it seems like Christian Parker really co-signs this idea that the slot is actually the most valuable person in the secondary, because obviously I said about the run fits, but also teams are throwing to the middle of the field so much because it's the nearest way, the ball has to travel the least amount of distance to get there, and that's where the slot's going to be one of the closest defenders and how important it is. I think Deron Bland can do it. I think he does a lot of good things in the inserting against the run. I think he has the ability to play zone and man from the nickel from the slot. But I think a lot of it is going to determine about, just like in the draft, who is on the board. I think you can find a lot of these good slot corners that can kind of do a little bit of both in like the day 2 area, maybe depending on what the Cowboys trade back or whatever. I think it's very, very important to see, because Deron Bland can go both outside and inside. So I think it's just going to depend on who's available. Is it easier to find the outside guy, or is it easier to find a slot guy, and then kind of Bland will take whoever will take the spot that they don't get the influx of talent.
John,
let me interject right here. I want to bring back Steve Campanella's question to kind of piggyback on something that they're talking about. Steve Campanella said 3 things that I would like to see the Cowboys do. I would like to see the Cowboys do with Parker. And so as they're kind of talking, I want to just kind of answer this question to go along with what they're saying. So the first move I would like to see them do with Christian Parker is get him everything that he needs. Get Christian Parker everything that he needs. So number 1, get him the staff that he needs. I don't think they're going to turn over the entire defensive staff. I don't think they're going to do that. But I do say whatever those pivotal spots they need, whatever the pivotal staff things they want, he needs, get those for him. Get him the staff that he needs. Number 2, the Cowboys have got to hit in free agency. The Cowboys have got to hit in free agency. And I do believe what the Cowboys need to get Christian Parker in free agency. I'm going to tell you who's at the top of my list right now. Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips is at the top of my list. The Cowboys need an edge rusher. I've kind of changed my position on Max Crosby. It is going to require the Cowboys to give up draft capital to get Max Crosby. I don't want the Cowboys to have to give up anything to get Max Crosby, because not only do you give up draft capital, if you get Max Crosby, you got to give up the money. I'm not giving up money and draft capital. I'll give up money, but I'm not giving up draft capital. Draft capital is at a premium for the Cowboys. The Cowboys are in the top 20 in 2 picks. The number 12 pick, I believe the Cowboys have no choice but to hit on it. It's number 12. There's too many good players up there in the top 12. Don't touch that pick. Hit on that pick, and I'll tell you who I think they need to pick. 20. If I trade back to get back into the second round, if I'm the Cowboys, I have a threshold of I trade back no more than 3 spots, and only if I can still get either the linebacker, the edge rusher, or the cornerback that I want. But I will not. I refuse to go back anything more than 3 spots if I'm the Dallas Cowboys. So, get him his staff. Free agency, I think they need to go after Jalen Phillips. And then in the draft, the first draft pick needs to be a corner at number 12. The Cowboys need to get the best cornerback in the draft who's not injured and not coming off injury. Get the best cornerback in the draft. Period. End of story. Period. End of story. And the only way you change that is if somebody just happens to fall there that you never imagined that was going to be there. Like the running back out of Notre Dame. I'm sorry, I might have to do some things differently if he falls there. The safety out of Ohio State. I would have to maybe take him if he falls there, which I don't think he is. But the Cowboys, this is the 3 things: staff, free agency, draft. If they will do those 3 things for Christian Parker, I think the Dallas Cowboys will be successful with Christian Parker. Mike 7275, he says, Mr. G, you know Fangio where Parker comes from, 75% scheme is zone. But when Flus was doing his zone, everyone was complaining. Mike T, I agree. And this is why I said, Mike T, let's think about what I said about Diggs. I don't think Diggs was right in what he said. I think what Diggs said was right for him. I don't think what Diggs said was right for the defense. The Cowboys defense, the way it was currently constructed, man, the Cowboys defense couldn't run no man. It was an absolute joke. They couldn't run man. Especially under Matt Eberflus. They could not run man, brothers and sisters. They could not do it. Matt Eberflus was running zone lazily, was the problem. I believe this guy, Christian Parker, based on everything we're hearing, I think he's going to come in here and he's going to be able to help them to understand their position a lot better in what he's going to run. But it's all going to be predicated upon, man, they got to get him the players. They have to get him the players. There is no doubt about it. They got to give him the players. Yeah, Top Gunner, this is where I am. Yeah, he says Parker had the right talent to make his responsibility easier. Yeah. See, the Cowboys, what they got to do. And Top Gunner, This is where we ought to be excited and encouraged. Well, it's not like they don't have the draft situation to get him what he wants. It's not like they can't do it in free agency. The Cowboys are going to have to make about 5 moves between free agency and the draft. They need to get edge, linebacker, corner, safety. That is about 4 positions. But if you replace both safeties, that's 5. So you're only looking for 5. So for me, the 5 positions that they are looking for that will make the Cowboys defense look 100 times better, I believe that you can address 2 of those issues you can address in free agency. The defensive end I'm going for is Jalen Phillips. And I'm hoping that Christian Parker, I'm hoping that this is one of the first things he talks about. Because I'm telling you now, Jalen Phillips, there were two trades at the trade deadline that jumped off the page. They jumped off the page. Quinnen Williams for the Cowboys, Jalen Phillips for the Eagles. Jalen Phillips was jumping off the television for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, they got a lot of contract issues coming up, so they may not keep Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips hits the streets. Cowboys got to make it a priority to get Jalen Phillips. Jalen Phillips will absolutely change this defense, along with Jadeveon Clowney, James Houston, and Donovan Ezeraku. Man, you bring in Jalen Phillips, man, you got a heck of an edge room. You got a heck of an edge room. So you get Jalen Phillips. Now you're down to only 3 of those positions. Well, it's a no-brainer in the draft. In the draft, you're going to go get the best cornerback available. And if you get the edge rusher, then now you're going to go get the best linebacker available. Now you've knocked out 2 of the birds. Now, safety. I do believe the Cowboys can address safety. I believe they can address safety also in free agency. I think we've already showed it yesterday. We may look at it again. But there are going to be about 5 or 6 safeties out there that the Cowboys will be able to get that will absolutely improve their defense. As a matter of fact, the safety for the Philadelphia Eagles, rumor has it, is that the Eagles are going to part ways with him. If the Eagles part ways with their safety, I believe the Cowboys should bring him in because of the familiarity with the Christian Parker system. And so you've already solved all 5 of your positions. The only thing you need to do now is bring in depth. Now you just need to bring in depth. Bring in the depth pieces. Let's listen to the rest of this, and I'm going to show you, Steve Campanella, I hope I answered your question. I'm going to show you, even based on what they're talking about with personnel, there is something that is swirling around the safety for the Philadelphia Eagles, and maybe Christian Parker can convince the Cowboys to go after him.
In terms of Eagles defenders that could maybe come over in free agency, you have like Jalen Phillips on the edge. You have Nakobe Dean at linebacker, Reed Blankenship at safety. Does any one of those guys pique your interest to bring over here with Parker?
I mean, Jalen Phillips, I think he's one of the better edge rushers in the NFL. The big question with him is just health, and he has a really, really messy history. I mean, he medically retired in college already, and he's been hampered by injuries throughout his NFL career.
Okay, I didn't know that.
You can get him for a decent contract. He's definitely someone who I would bring in to bring that influx of edge rush ability and the ability to be able to drop occasionally, because that's something that I know a lot of fans aren't talking about, but those Fangio schemes, they run sim pressures at like a 35% rate. And when you combine that with the blitz, they're bringing extra defenders from the second level on almost 50% of their snaps against the pass. So you're going to need to have, edge defenders that can drop into coverage, that can play a hooked zone, that can play the flats, and they're not going to be a total mismatch there. Now, obviously, you're not going to have them running with receivers or running with tight ends down the field, but if they can do these really simplistic zone drops, and Jalen Phillips has proven throughout his career that he is competent in that area, I think he's someone who could be a very valuable piece to a potential Cowboys defense if they were to make themselves. And I also think Nakobe Dean is a decent option just because he would help install the scheme. I don't think he's the best linebacker. I think he has some issues getting off blocks and stuff. But when you play with 5-man surfaces and you're doing a lot of the gap in the half stuff, it does take a little bit of the pressure off of the linebackers in their run fits and having to deal with linemen getting in their face immediately. So I think that he would be a pretty good fit to put in next to DeMarvion Overshown if that's the direction that you want to go, rather so that you have a little bit so that you can focus on maybe other positions in the draft.
It's
Yes.
John Owning, PFF, with you here on your home of the Cowboys.
That's exactly what I just talked about.
John,
Yeah.
if it doesn't go right for Christian Parker, is there anything you can anticipate? Like how much is having to call plays possibly throwing a wrench into the momentum of a coach?
Yeah, I think there's two things that can really mess up his stint as the Cowboys defensive coordinator. One is, like you said, calling plays. He's never done that before. That was a big reason why I had Jim Leonard a little bit ahead of him, is that even though we hadn't called plays in the NFL, he did call plays in college at Wisconsin. To my knowledge, I don't think Christian Parker's ever had to call plays. Now, I think it's something he's going to be able to do just because he's been such a big part of the game planning process, and he's so familiar with the different types of offensive schemes, especially like the Shanahan system. He's been, in his stops, he's kind of been the guy who's taken the task of learning the Shanahan scheme and finding ways to attack and dictate to them so that you can have a better shot in the defense. And I think that's a big reason why Fangio's teams have been one of the more successful schemes against the Shanahan tree. And then the other,
Very significant right here. You're talking about playing Matt LaFleur's, Kyle Shanahan's. You know, those are the kind of teams you'll be facing in the playoffs. Man, I'm telling you, Christian Parker can pay dividends.
other one is going to be just talent evaluation at positions outside of the defensive backfield. I think he's already proven his ability to scout and evaluate defensive backs. We saw what he did with Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean with the Eagles. Mm-hmm. But does he have that same eye for linebackers? Does he have that same eye for defensive tackles, edge defenders, those type of things? If you don't get those right, it can make your ability to install this scheme a lot harder, because even though I really like this scheme and there's a lot of good things that you can do, and I think it's going to raise the floor of the defense as a whole, we saw in the past with a guy like Brandon Staley, who runs very similar Fangio schemes, that when you don't have the talent to run, you don't have good enough talent to run the scheme, it's still going to be it could turn out to be a subpar unit as a whole. So I think those are the two main things: calling plays and evaluating talent outside of the defensive backfield.
Well, and last year it was all with the zone stuff, and not everybody was on the right page. So what can you tell us about some of the coverage elements that maybe he'll try and deploy here?
Oh, yeah. I was hoping you were going to ask me this. This has been one of the things I've been diving most into since he's been hired. And the main tenet of the defense is they are very simplistic pre-snap. So they're showing you the same, two high safety shells on almost every play. And then post-snap, that's when they're rotating to their single high, to their cover one stuff.
This was the one place for me that Matt Eberflus stunk. He could never disguise coverages. He stunk. Whatever Matt Eberflus lined up as, that's what you knew he was doing. Matt Eberflus allowed defenses to dictate to him everything they were doing. He would change up he would actually change up what he was doing, even if it was successful if they threw him a wrinkle. Couldn't stand that about Matt Eberflus.
Or to their weak rotated cover three stuff. And the thing that's interesting about weak rotated cover threes allows you to be a little bit more balanced with your skilled coverage defenders, because everything that they dictate strong and weak, that nickel is always going to be to the passing strength. So if you, in a typical regular cover three, and you're bringing also the strong safety down to play on the passing strength as well as the nickel, it can make you a little bit more susceptible on the weak side to the non-passing strength side, because you're having two linebackers over there that can get taken advantage of. And that's something that we see a lot of the Shanahan scheme, why they have been so successful against those defensive coordinators that match up in those typical cover three like Eberflus plays, is because you can isolate those linebackers on the backside and have a lot of success. But when you bring the safety down to the non-passing strength, then you have a little bit more of an equalized coverage strength to both sides, because you have safeties and corners on both sides, or safety and corner on one side, nickel and corner, and those guys are going to be better in coverage than just your typical off-ball linebacker. So I really like that. And then another thing that he employs a ton of is split field coverages, playing quarters on one side.
Yeah, this is what Fangio is famous for. Two coverages on different sides of the field. I'm going to see if we can find. We talked about this during the season because we were talking about how to beat Vic Fangio's system. It's pretty tough. It's pretty strategic what he does. I hope Christian Parker actually implements this.
Playing halves on the other, or cover two on the other.
Yeah.
And what that allows you to do is allows you by game plan to really isolate and take away the opposing team's number one receiver. One big thing that we see in the NFL nowadays is teams are running a lot of 3-by-1 formations, 3 receivers to one side, isolate your number one receiver to the backside. And what the Eagles, or what Fangio and Christian Parker and those guys like to do, is they'll play cover 2 to the side where the number one receiver is to the isolated receiver side. And that allows you to create a pseudo bracket where you're having your cornerback press the wide receiver at the line of scrimmage, disrupt the timing of his route, and then you have the safety over the top bracketing him. So you have kind of an under-over vice on that receiver, a 2-over-1. So that allows you to, be really take him out of the game plan and force the quarterback to look elsewhere. But the good thing is because you're playing quarters to the side with 3 receivers, you're getting a 4-over-3. So that's a big thing in the Fangio schemes, is you're going to always have a +1 in the coverage department. So they're throwing numbers at it. You're not going to get many 3-over-3s or 2-over-2s where, the offense is going to have the success because they know what they're doing. You're going to have more numbers, so that gives you a better shot to defend those different route concepts on a given play.
You're crushing it, John. Love it. Want to talk more to you about it, but we got 2 minutes till your time. So smoke up, Johnny.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Now we'll deal with that more later on, but just basically what they're saying in a nutshell. Just break this down for people who don't know all the coverages and all the other X's and O's that they're talking about. What Vic Fangio does is he tries to outnumber you on each side of the field. So in other words, if your wide receiver, you line up your wide receiver on the left, he makes sure he has 2 defenders over there. You line up 3 receivers on the right, he makes sure he has 4 to 5 defenders over there. He always tries to outnumber you in the passing game. So that's why his nickel coverages and those things are going to be so important. He disguises what he does. It looks like that cover 2 shell. Then he can roll out of it and go into whatever coverage that he wants to. And he likes to, he likes to run that rush 4, or if he runs that 5-man, have that 5-man front, and as they were talking about, rather than 2 linebackers, maybe you have another nickel guy in there. So whatever the case is with Vic Fangio, he's always going to try and outnumber you in the passing game. So y'all remember how we were getting people were just running up the seams on us, getting one-on-one with the safeties, and there was nothing that we can do? You don't get that in a Fangio system. So I'm pretty sure Christian Parker is going to do some of those same things, because in the grand scheme of things, is absolutely genius. Robert Simmons, he says, appreciate that $2 super chat. He says, I also want Nakobe Dean to be our starting middle linebacker too. Okay, we're going to run to players that could possibly come with Christian Parker, or that the Cowboys should possibly target. Quentin Warner, let me see here. Appreciate you. $10 super chat. He said, G, also, if we want this young man to be successful, we need the owner to let this OC and DC do their thing. Football things, give them the credit card like Kraft does with the Patriots. Jerry, sit down. Now, Quentin, let me tell you something that people aren't giving Jerry enough credit for. I heard someone else talking about this today. Y'all might not realize this, but they have been giving these coordinators some say-so. They have been giving them some say-so. Matt Eberflus hung himself. Matt Eberflus wanted Kenneth Murray Jr. Matt Eberflus hung his hat on Donovan Wilson and Malik Hooker. He had history with one of them too. He absolutely hung his hat on Kenneth Murray Jr. because I believe he was responsible for bringing him in. Solomon Thomas. I believe that was a white cotton thing. They allowed these guys to bring in people. Javonte Williams. That was Brian Schottenheimer. George Pickens. That was Jerry Jones and Brian Schottenheimer. Tyler Booker. That was Jerry Jones and Brian Schottenheimer. Now, Jerry Jones has been giving them some leeway on these players. Because even Mike McCarthy said it. Do y'all realize some of the bad moves we made here was Mike McCarthy? James Jones said as much. No, they're letting these coaches have some say-so. Now, where I agree with you is they're going to have to open up that checkbook a little bit more so that these coaches can get some players, a little bit more high-caliber players. But they've been letting them get some of the players that they wanted. Quentin also says, appreciate that $5 super chat. He said he disagrees with me on Jalen. He said he would rather have Trey Hendrickson. Well, they're going to get their opportunity. They're going to get their opportunity at both of them. Cincinnati is not going to bring back Trey Hendrickson. So they're going to get their opportunity. They are definitely going to get their opportunity. And let's put this here. I'm just doing some. Before we go to the history. I want to bring up the list of players the Cowboys should target. The list of players the Cowboys should target. Let's check this out. So maybe Jerry will target these players. This is written by Mauricio Rodriguez over there on A to Z Sports. New Cowboys defensive coordinator Christian Parker can help Dallas sabotage the Eagles by targeting these 4 free agents. And the 4 free agents that they have listed here. One of those free agents is who Simmons was talking about. First, linebacker Nakobe Dean. Yeah. Says this was a big one. Nakobe Dean means for the Eagles defense shouldn't be understated. Defensive coordinators often seek linebackers familiar with their schemes to follow them and help them set the tone. Mike Zimmer brought Eric Kendricks. Matt Eberflus signed Jack Sanborn. I think he bought Kenneth Murray too. Can Parker get the Cowboys to secure Dean, whose deal is likely to be much more expensive compared to those two? After coming back from injury in 2025, Dean was a standout defender in Philly and a big reason for their defensive improvement late in the year. He was solid versus the run, in coverage, and even as a blitzer. Dean should be one of the Cowboys' top targets in free agency. Number 2, Reed Blankenship. I mentioned him earlier. Says his play declined in 2025. Says his play may have declined in 2025. He would be an immediate upgrade for the Cowboys. And again, someone familiar with the language Parker is likely to install as a first-time defensive coordinator. He has been one of the main communicators in the Eagles secondary, which Parker led as the pass game coordinator since 2021. The Cowboys should absolutely get him $7.2 million average per year projected market value. Cowboys should absolutely get him. Now, Nakobe Dean would be $15.5 million, so we'll see what the Cowboys do on that. Another safety available, Marcus Epps. Although less known, Epps was a valuable veteran for the Eagles in 2025 when he is asked to fill in for an injured Andrew Makuba. Epps will turn 30 near the end of the month and has a longer injury history than you would like him to. But he could be a solid one-year rental for the Cowboys. Maybe a depth piece. You could get him for the vet minimum. Next, edge Jalen Phillips. Yeah. This one is certainly more of a stretch. Phillips only arrived on the Eagles on the trade deadline last year, but at least Parker has seen him up close. Edge rusher is a huge need for the Cowboys and one that will be tougher to address in the draft. Phillips is expected to have a big market after trading for him I would expect Eagles GM Howie Roseman to do everything he can keep him in Philly. Now, that's actually not what I've been hearing about him. But those are the 4 players. Mauricio, appreciate that. Those are the 4 players. Because, again, they're going to have to get him the players. They're going to have to get him the players. And I believe they understand they're going to have to get him the players. I don't think they're in la-la land. I think they know they're going to have to get him the players. Because as I said yesterday, if you want him to be successful, you got to help this defense look similar to what he came from. He had a lot of talent over there in Philly. And so this is the mistake that people make sometimes, is that you bring a guy over and then people say, oh, yeah, I want him to have the same success that he had where he came from. Well, he's not going to have the same success where he came from unless you're going to take the time out to make sure that you get him the talent that he absolutely needs. And so this is going to have to be a focus for the Cowboys. They got to give him the talent. Now, where I'm encouraged is that the Cowboys shouldn't have a problem getting him the talent, because you have the number 12 pick, you have the number 20 pick, you got free agency. The Cowboys should be able to address 5 positions: edge, linebacker, safety, corner. They should be able to address that. They should be able to get him the pieces that he needs. So I'm not worried about this. Jerry's been moving different ever since he hired Brian Schottenheimer. Jerry said Father Time is knocking on the door. Jerry is trying to get the bowl game. So I'm confident that Jerry's going to do what he needs to do. Jerry got his feet wet last year playing in free agency. This year, I don't want the quantity. Last year, they impressed us with the quantity. I'm not interested in the quantity. This year, I want them to impress us with the quality. The quality. Go out there and get. And I say at the end of the day, man, I mean, we're just going to have to do what we got to do. Whether it be Jalen Phillips, whether it be Trey Hendrickson, whoever it is, the Cowboys need to go out there. And they have got to be aggressive. They've got to get edge, linebacker, safety, corners. They got to do it. What's going on, Tatiana? She said, hey, G, I'm glad he's young. Fresh strategies. Scheme should be fire for us. Yeah. In the immortal words of Keith Sweat, you may be young, but you're ready. Yeah. Y'all, anybody who know about Keith Sweat? You may be young, but you're ready. The Bible says, let no one despise thee because of thy youth. And so I'm pretty excited about Christian Parker. Again, I think when you look at his history and what he's done, I think it's pretty, I'm telling you, it's fascinating when you really look at what he's done as a young defensive coordinator. This is what's so impressive to me. When you look at Parker's history, check this out. I did this in a video today. For everybody who hasn't seen the video, this is kind of what I talked about. When you look at his history, all pro development, Parker's signature success is elevating defensive backs. Patrick Surtain II, Dijon, and Quinion Mitchell. Cooper DeJean and Quinion Mitchell, all earning first-team All-Pro honors under his guidance. Not to mention in Green Bay, Jair Alexander had his best season when Christian Parker was there. He has what the Cowboys are looking for: experience and success in the defensive backfield. The defensive backfield has plagued the Cowboys for seasons, man. Seasons. This is going to be great for the Dallas Cowboys. So he's going to help them on the back end, and they were talking about slot corner and how important that role is. I told y'all this yesterday, and I'm going to stick to it. I don't think the Cowboys are going in the draft looking for a slot corner. I believe their slot corner is going to be Deron Bland. Deron Bland plays really well in the slot. The Cowboys just need to accept it. He's going to be the highest paid slot corner in the league. Put him in slot corner and leave him. Go in the draft and get you the best cornerback available. Put him and Savon Revel outside. You do that, you're great. If you want to run two corners, then put Deron Bland in. But even then, if you can get me two young corners that are playing well, leave Deron Bland out if you're running two corners. I believe Deron Bland is going to be the highest paid slot corner in the league, and that's where the Cowboys need to leave him. But nevertheless, you think about it. He's got skins on the wall. Super Bowl in 2024. Skins on the wall. Playoffs in 2025. And I'm telling y'all right now, the Philadelphia Eagles defense, regardless of what anyone says, the Philadelphia Eagles defense was good enough to go to the Super Bowl. Bottom line. I'm sorry. Philadelphia Eagles defense was good enough to go to the Super Bowl. You give the Dallas Cowboys that same defense. You give the Cowboys that same defense. I promise you they go to the Super Bowl. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles defense this year. This is Super Bowl caliber defense. They finished 5th overall in points allowed per game, 19.1. The Dallas Cowboys would have outscored about 80% of the teams they played this year. Now, I want you to see where Christian Parker comes into play and why Cowboy fans ought to be excited. Opponent's completion percentage, 56.8%. Dak Prescott registered, I believe, his lowest completion percentage or one of his lowest completion percentages of the season against the Philadelphia Eagles, which was 61%. Opponent's completion percentage, first in the NFL. Wow. Wow. That's Christian Parker and Vic Fangio's defense. Look at the opponent's passer rating, 75.4. That ranks second in the NFL. Yeah. Man, this is a Super Bowl defense. What changed about the Philadelphia Eagles was their offense. They are a Super Bowl level defense. Even with injuries they had. Man, you bring half of this to the Cowboys. We're a Super Bowl team. Total yards allowed, around 5th. Passing touchdowns allowed. This is another pivotal stat that you can attribute to Christian Parker. Fewest in the league. Wow. Wow. He was a part of that staff. And that's why, for me, I mean, as much as people were so loving Jim Leonard, Jim Leonard ain't got these kind of skins on the wall. I mean, it's not like Jim Leonard was at Wisconsin and won the national championship. It's not like he won the national championship. College is different than the pros. Jim Leonard, I mean, we really wouldn't have known what he was. He's been on a very good staff with Vance Johnson, and it may very well be a Super Bowl staff this year, which may be bogged down because of the injury to the Bo Nix. But nevertheless, I'm actually laughing because I'm seeing where people are talking about Jared Stidham. I mean, Mark Vrabel said he could start on a lot of teams. Okay, Vrabel. I'm actually laughing. He said Jared Stidham could start on a lot of teams. Meanwhile, Mike Vrabel didn't have him on his team as a backup. I mean, doggone Mike Vrabel. If he that good, how come you didn't get him? I see what you're doing there. I ain't mad at you, but I see what you're doing there. Demetrius Noah, after what we had to endure with Eberflus, what's the reason for complaining? You won't get no complaints from me. Yeah, Lynn said Parker can get out there and teach technique, discipline, and defensive assignments where Flus couldn't. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think he's a great addition. Yeah, I think he's a great addition. I think he's going to be good to go. Jaden Justin in the crib. Big Brobowski. He said, with all due respect, G, Eberflus chose not to disguise his scheme because he didn't know himself what the scheme was. He was running most of the time. Boy. Sebastian Shaw. Now, Sebastian, understand this. The 5-2 is a variation of the 3-4. A 5-2 defense is kind of a variation of a 3-4. Because when you look at the 5-2 defense versus the 3-4, they look, when they are lined up, they look almost identical. They really do. The only difference is who you have out there on the edges. That's really the big difference. But they really look a lot the same. You're still talking about almost the same alignment? The 4-3 versus, let me see here. Yeah, let's look at this diagram right here, see if this will give us some insight on this. Just kind of look at how these are aligned. They're almost the same. The 3-4 versus the 5. You're still going to have, you got the 3 down linemen, and then you got the 2 outside. You got this on both sides. I mean, really, the biggest difference is who you got out here on the edges. Who do you have out here on the edges? You look at the 4-3, the 5-2. I mean, they are eerily similar. The linebackers. I mean, how do you got them? You got 2 linebackers on both of them. You either got an extra linebacker on the 4-3, or if you want to run that 5-man front, you could actually run an extra nickel back, but it's the same look. What makes it different is the personnel. But the Cowboys could run that if they wanted to, because they got Jadeveon Clowney and Donovan Ezra-Roku, who I believe those 2 in particular can run a 3-4 if you wanted to. And they kind of give a 3-4 look. So he's going to fit in perfectly with what the Cowboys do. Yeah, it's not even going to be a problem. He's going to match up perfectly with a lot of the things the Cowboys want to do. And so we're going to get to some videos here in a moment. But I also want to bring up the fact of what I like about Christian Parker being a part of Vic Fangio's scheme. Man, let me tell you something that we don't want to admit as a Cowboys fan. But I want to tell you what Christian Parker brings. He brings a level of toughness and physicality that we're not used to. One of the bad raps on us is we have not been a physical team over the last few seasons. Well, he comes from a culture of physical defenses. Because Vic Fangio's defenses, man, they are tough and they are physical. I just got to imagine that Christian Parker is going to bring the same thing. He's going to bring a level of toughness. And it's not just he's going to bring it. He's going to communicate and teach a level of physicality and toughness that we have been missing on this team. He's going to bring that because if you think about the identity of the Philadelphia Eagles, man, love them, like them, or hate them, man, that's a tough physical defense. That is a very tough and physical defense. It absolutely is. And I've already talked about the defensive back success, Jair Alexander, Patrick Surtain, Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell. I mean, you're talking about he's hit four in a row. So this bids good news for Savon Revel Jr. It also bids good news that we can bring in a top-flight cornerback in the draft, and we won't have to worry about them being wasted with the coaching staff. All right, let's see some super chats here. Joshua, what's going on, Joshua Sosa? Joshua Sosa. He says, I hope Parker understands that this is not just any team. Once he wears the star, he will be faced with increased pressure and greater scrutiny. Man, Joshua, let me tell you something. Man, let me tell you something. Philadelphia is one of the most insane fan bases you could ever play for. Bro, Philly insane, man. Philly is insane out there, bro. Philly was out there throwing eggs. I'm thinking it was the offensive coordinator. Bro, they were out there throwing eggs at this man's car. Philly next level crazy. I think he kind of understands what he's getting into with the Cowboys. Philly fan base is next level crazy, Joshua. Brandy, appreciate that super chat. Now, Brandy, I think he has maybe, honestly, I think he has about, this is kind of where I rate the Cowboys defensive line, Brandy. I don't think he's going to have a problem with the defensive line. You got an elite defensive tackle. You have a great defensive tackle, elite, Quentin Williams. Great, Kenny Clark. Good to great, depending upon who he's playing next to. Oso Digizua. James Houston. He was the best pass rusher on the team. Donovan Ezeraku should improve in his second season. Jadeveon Clowney should be way better with a training camp. I mean, he looks rejuvenated in Dallas. All you have to do is bring in a Hendrickson or a Phillips. No, you got a really good defensive line here. Yeah, not the problem for me. I think his defensive line is great. But as far as stud, I would say you might got 3 studs, but as far as elite, I think you only have 1 elite. And maybe you're referring to the stud as the elite Quentin Williams. Yeah, you got 1. But I'll tell you this, a lot of teams don't even have that. So I'm good with the defensive line. I have no problems with that. Just go out and get us a pass rusher, and I think we'll be fine with that. Just go out and get us a pass rusher. And then the biggest hurdle, though, Brandy, linebacker, corner, safety. That's the biggest hurdle. That's the biggest hurdle that they have to get over. But I'm good with the rest. So let's go over here and look at some videos. Matty Dubs, I was looking at this today. I included it in the video that I put out today. I want to look at some more of the video with you guys, and just to show you again how Christian Parker, a big part of the Vic Fangio system, pass game coordinator. Man, let me tell you something. When you see how these guys play defense and how they coach defense, man, y'all are going to be excited about this. Y'all are going to be excited about this. Again, we've already showed Vic Fangio's scheme before over here. But I am telling y'all, man, the way Vic Fangio does things, and when you see how it moves on tape, and I'm telling you that this guy is actually a part of it, when you see how it runs so fluid, you got to absolutely love it. Let me see. We had ran this before too. Let me show you this kind of before we run and see. I think I can show it to you better on film. I'm gonna show it to you better on film with Matty Dubs. I think Matty Dubs does a great breakdown of this. All right, let's check out Matty Dubs as you watch this defense in motion. Let's check this out.
Vic Fangio is an absolute genius. I mean, the scheme and the way he has this defense playing is unbelievable. Right here, versus the Bills this week, he runs a double ET, which essentially is an edge tackle stunt. We're going to get both of our inside rushers, right, going to the inside shoulders of the tackles, right? From there, our edges are going to reach point of attack and kind of stun in through the A-gap. Same thing here, right? We go to the inside shoulder, We stunt around through the A-gap. Now, the offensive line is going to be in a scat or slide protection off to the right because they have added Jalen Phillips, but also they have Jalen Carter back into the lineup. This side of their defensive line is very tough to stop. So usually you see these slide protections off to the right, which leaves one-on-one matchups here to the bottom side of the screen. Now, Jalix Hunt, after he gets the stunt from Morrow, right?
Now, what I want you to pay attention to, this is similar to what Matt Eberflus wanted to run. Y'all remember this? I'm just telling you what you're going to see different in this defense is you're going to see, at least what I hope we're going to see. You're going to see execution, but you're also going to see a variety in how they run everything. So, again, as you can see, across the board, I mean, it's pretty simple. He's rushing 4. I mean, he's rushing 4 and dropping 7. This is what Matt Eberflus wanted to do. He's playing, this is basically zone. Now, watch how this develops as Matt is explaining it.
Goes to the inside shoulder. You see the guard kind of follow him, and because they're sliding their protection again over here, we get a free lane through that A-gap. The guard does not play it well enough, and guess what? Jalix Hunt comes away with...
Now, this is the part I want to show you about this defense and what they do that is so clever. Look at this. Covered. 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 Everything is covered. Everything. He got that. He's got this and this. This is kind of where we failed this year. But he's got this and this. With the pressure on the quarterback, moving him off the mark, he's really putting him in a situation to where he's got to make the decision. This defense, the way it works, the way they work this defense, is similar to what Matt wanted to do but couldn't do.
With the sack here on Josh Allen. Now, in this game specifically, Vic Fangio drew up some really good plays to eliminate this Buffalo Bills high-powered offense. Obviously, the rain definitely played a factor as well, but the Eagles defense and Vic Fangio is one of my reasons I believe they can definitely go back-to-back this season. Their defense just comes to play in these big-time games. So we're going to break down.
And their defense was good enough to go to the Super Bowl. It's a top 5 defense. How do you not go to the Super Bowl with a top 5 defense? And you got the quarterback who everybody at the beginning of the year was saying he's top 5, he's better than Dak Prescott, he's more, all these things.
On the film, make sure you guys stay tuned, but also comment down below. Do you think this team is good enough to repeat? Also did a really good job just taking advantage of mistakes in this game, and here's another example of that right here. The offense is going to...
Now again, notice this is some of the same stuff that we were trying to run. I just want you to understand what we're looking at. There it is. Rush 4, drop 7. This is the exact stuff that we were trying to do and we couldn't do it.
Be in a full slide to the left, trying to sell the run fake. They even give...
Now the difference is how they're teaching and what they're doing.
Give you a little bit of eye candy to this side, just trying to get these second level defenders to kind of overcommit to this side of the field, when in reality they're going to be bootlegging out to the right side of the field. They're going to be on a chip and release out into the flats with their tight end, and then from there they've just got a couple of crosser routes. They got a corner route here, and then again the flat. But ultimately the mistake made on this play is Josh Allen not taking what the defense gives him as he rolls out.
Now, let's pay attention. We're going to need the players. We're going to need the players because I think he's going to be able to teach better than Matt Eberflus. But I want you to pay attention to a few things. Look at the middle linebacker. Look at the middle linebacker. Not overreacting. He's waiting. He's watching how the play is developing. He's not overcommitting how we would see, for whatever reason, we would see Kenneth Murray running to gaps that didn't make sense. Just running places that didn't make sense. No, this guy standing his ground. Look at the safety.
Outside the pocket.
Look at the safety. He's keeping his ground. Everybody's in their zone. And you're going to see this. Watch how this play develops.
Phillips does do a really good job playing the passing lane, but there is a little bit of room where he can kind of loft this over to the sideline and pick up some yards here to the tight end. Now, Josh Allen is one who likes the big play, and he is thinking if he looks to this tight end, he might be able to get these second and third level defenders to bite up and maybe free up the backside of this second level, or even the...
Now, look at the discipline. Look at the discipline of these defensive backs. They're not coming up. They're setting the edges. Look at the linebacker. This is the Fangio. This is how Fangio does it. They are keeping that containment. Even if he throws it out there, I guarantee you they close and crush him. But watch as it keeps developing, as Maddie is explaining it.
Corner route here, right? So he is trying to get something bigger or more than he really needs here, and ultimately...
Now, another issue where... Now Dak Prescott probably takes this. Because this is just Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott probably takes that. Josh Allen is a big play. He wants the big play. He don't want to live for the next day. He wants this. I think he wants this. But this is what Vic Fangio does to... He did it to Patrick Mahomes. He did it to Josh Allen. He did it to Dak Prescott. He takes away so many options. Now, again, I really don't understand why Josh... I don't understand why Josh hadn't done this. I mean, the play is right there. But again, pressure busts pipes, so it creates diamonds.
Jalen Carter does a really good job shutting that down quickly, right? Gets right through.
But we're looking at this in slow motion too. And this guy's coming fast.
Shuts it down, and then Jalen Phillips, look at what he's able to do here. Right? Plays it patiently. Now everything's really bottled up.
Now, this is what I want you to see that I think Christian Parker is going to help us on. So, look at this. Every time you look at this, Josh Allen is way over here. Josh Allen has a man down here. Ain't no way Josh is going to try to make that throw. Because I guarantee you, if he tries to make that throw,
and then Josh Allen,
that cornerback right there is probably going to come and make that pick, and it's going to be a pick six. But just notice. I noticed this when I was watching this today. Look, again. Covered. 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 Covered.
Too much, forces the fumble.
Everything
does, and then look at the hustle here.
And then, of course, Josh Allen is a turnover machine.
By not only Jahad Campbell, but Jalen Phillips and all these boys, man. Rush, go get the fumble. Big time turnover here in this game. Again, you can tell this Eagles defense is bought into the system right now, and they are doing whatever it takes to win these.
See, one of the things that Vic Fangio does a great job of is he disguises these looks. So your pre-snap reads that you want to get, you can't get those with Fangio. So basically with Fangio, it's just developing right there in front of you, and so you got to read and react. Fangio is trying to take away that second read. And by the time you get to that first or second read, the pass rush is expected to move you off your mark. And then once you start moving off your mark, you're more susceptible to mistakes because you can't read the field the way that you want to. Because even though we're saying that he had the guy open on the edge, man, when these guys are coming at you ultra fast, sometimes you just can't think.
The Buffalo Bills to 12 points in a game. Trust me, I get it. I understand the rain and the terrible weather conditions. This was a great game defensively. And guys, if you really do believe this team is that good, still, make sure you hit the like button.
Another great issue with Fangio. And again, I just want to show you. He's trying to, he did what Flus was trying to do. Rush 4, drop 7. That's what he was trying to do. The only difference is again, look at the way Fangio does this. If you line up you line up 3 on one side, what does Fangio do? Fangio says, if you line up 3 on one side, I'm lining up 4. You line up 3, I'm lining up 4. That's what Fangio says. You put your wide receiver down at the bottom, your best wide receiver, you line up 1, I'm lining up 2. Fangio is always trying to outnumber you in the passing game. So they got 3, he got 4. They got 1, he got 2. And look at this. And you still got an extra guy in case this guy does whatever he does. You still got the extra guy. So he's got them outnumbered 3-2. And he's got them outnumbered 4-3. Genius. I'm telling this, man. Genius strategy. Genius strategy. You're never outnumbered. And you don't get to do to us what was happening to us. One of the things that teams were doing to the Cowboys, they would send this guy right here. They would send him in motion. And they'd send him in motion and just run him up the seam. They were killing the Cowboys with this stuff. Motion killed us. And this play in particular, up the seam. And there was nothing we could do about it. Nothing we could do about it. But watch how this play unfolds.
This is probably one of my favorite plays of the game. They're going to get like this little crossing up. They're going to get another cross here. And then they're going to get like a zig to the outside. They play this absolutely beautifully. So watch this, right? Our tight end's going to go over the middle of the field. He's going to try to take away that linebacker, go right.
Just watch how crazy good this is. Look. Covered. You got a guy here. You got a guy here. He done. You got this guy right here. Guess what? Covered. You got a guy here. He throws it. He peels off right here. Guy right here. This big Fangio defense is absolutely genius. It makes a quarterback. Where's your read? Where's your read as the quarterback? Man, this is a tough defense to deal with.
Across and up the middle of the field, but he just passes him off to his deep safeties, right? From there, the crosser gets picked up by that linebacker, and then the whip. Cooper DeJean plays that perfectly.
Look at this. Look. Covered. Covered, and you might not think he's covered. He's covered. He's covered because of this. You dump that down, they're going to stop him. Look. Covered. 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 This defense nasty. I'm telling y'all right now, this defense nasty, man. If Christian Parker can implement this in Dallas, I'm telling y'all right now, we go from last in the league to no less than mid-pack. No less than mid-pack. This defense is nasty. Now the issue is, now we got to get the players. We got to get the players. We got to go in the draft. We got to get the best cornerback in the draft. We have to go in the draft. We either get that edge or we get that linebacker. I prefer we get that linebacker, and I say see if we can get that edge in free agency. Jalen Phillips, Trey Hendrickson, you get those. Jadeveon Clowney's going to be better. James Houston is going to be better. I believe Donovan Ezaraku is going to be better. You can rush that 4. Demarion Overshawn and whoever that linebacker is, if you can implement this system. And in the grand scheme of things, I think it's simple. I think it's simple. You just got to have the right person to teach it. But it's incredible. This puts a quarterback in a headlock. Y'all tell me, where's the big play? Where's the big play? Because you're not getting it. If you're going to get a big play on this, you're going to have to throw in a tight window. I could see Dak Prescott trying to loft that ball in here. Maybe. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And this is why when you look at Dak Prescott this year against the Philadelphia Eagles, that second game, lowest percentage rate, lowest completion percentage of the season. You see why. Because everything you throw in this, it's going to be tight window. And if you check it down, low yardage plays. Yeah. This Vic Fangio system is great, man.
There's nothing there. Nothing there, right? He
Nope.
has all three of his initial reads on this right side. You can see he's got like 1, 2 to 3.
It's
His last
over.
read here will be Cooper DeJean. No.
This is his only check down Charlie. Check down Charlie. That's the only thing you can do. Check down. And we know Josh Allen. He always trying to look for the big play. He's always trying to look for the big play. But there's nothing there. Because when you got a pass rush that's decent or good enough, man, he ain't got all day to be standing back there.
Nothing is open. Nothing is open. Okay? And then eventually, if there's just nothing open here, the pass rush is ultimately going to get there.
See, even this down here, even this throw down here, this is a risky throw. Josh Allen tries to throw this, I guarantee you it's a pick six, especially if it's Josh Allen. But again, y'all tell me, look, covered. Now, because that pocket has collapsed, Dak Prescott maybe tries to throw this because this wide receiver has kind of gotten behind him. So Dak Prescott, he probably tries to get this down here because that's probably the throw. But by now, man, this thing is collapsed around him. What does he do? See, he already running for his life.
Exactly what happens. He tries to create something using his legs here. Again, we could probably throw the ball right here, but he doesn't.
See, and even this is a pretty, because he's on the run, he could get it down. I think he could get it down there, but I do believe it's going to be cold crushed on because you got players that are going to be able to come up and make the play. He maybe could get the first down, though, because the first down marker is here. If he had the time, this is probably the throw. But when you on the run and you under duress and all of this is happening in fast motion, see, we're doing this in slow motion. In fast motion, this is not open.
He doesn't. For whatever reason, he doesn't want to. So he's trying to extend the play, and ultimately, we know what happens from here. The defensive line just does what they need to do. But I do want to show you, they come out in this crazy double 4-eye. They've got Jalen Carter in a 4-eye. They've got Morrow in a 4-eye, or I think it's Morrow. And then they've got a bunch of wide 5s. They've got a 7-eye over here. And essentially, they just work, man. They never stop rushing. They're in a 5-man scat slide, right man left. And eventually, Jalix Hunt gets off the edge. They just...
And one of the things they do here, too, and I hope Christian Parker can bring this, I want you to look at this formation that he's talking about here.
For whatever reason, he doesn't want to. So he's trying to extend the play, and ultimately, we know what happens from here. The defensive line just does what they need to do. But I do want to show you, they come out in this crazy double 4.
Now, I want you to see how this is set up. This is one of these kind of formations that are beta quarterback like Josh Allen. Look at this. You might think as the quarterback, that's wide open. And so you could take one step back and jet up here. But watch how these linemen, the first thing they do is they work their way back in here. It closes so quick as this play is developing.
Carter in a 4-eye. They've got Morrow in a 4-eye, or I think it's Morrow. And then they've got a bunch of wide 5s. They've got a 7-eye over here. And essentially, they just work, man. They never stop rushing.
Look how quickly they close that in there.
Right man left, and eventually Jalix Hunt gets off the edge. Nolan Smith helps out, but they're never stopping. They're relentless. And it's unbelievable how they continue to play great coverage down the field. Look at, nobody's open. Nobody's open. Unbelievable job from this defense, man. I'm telling you, I think they have what it takes.
Dallas Cowboy fans, if Christian Parker can just bring this to the Dallas Cowboys. if he can just bring this to the Dallas Cowboys, we're on our way. And I'm not talking about 2027. We're on our way in 2026. If Christian Parker can get this implemented by mid-season, you're talking 9 games left. As he's implementing this system, I believe the Cowboys could easily win. At least by the mid-season, they could be 5-3. 5-3. If you can win down the stretch of the next 9 games, if you could get that system implemented and go 6-3 or 7-2, you got 12 games. You get in the dance. The Cowboys are going to have to get 12 games again because 10 games ain't going to be good enough no more. The way these divisions are looking, man, 10 games, you're going to be on the outside looking in. It's tough. To assure yourself getting in, you have got to get in that probably 11 wins. I don't see why they couldn't get 11 wins. If Parker can implement this, man, this Cowboys defense is going to be good sooner than later. But the next phase is free agency. They got to hit in free agency. They absolutely got to hit in free agency. Brandy said, I'm worried about the defensive backs. They were terrible. Yeah, that's why they're going to have to get more. Savon Revel Jr., Deron Bland, it is what it is. Go out there and get the best corner available. And this is why I believe the Cowboys are going cornerback. If Mansoon Delane is there, I believe this is the Cowboys pick. I believe Mansoon Delane is going to be the pick for the Dallas Cowboys. He's the best cornerback available. Because Caleb Downs, I just don't see Caleb Downs falling to the Cowboys. Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain, I don't think those guys are probably going to fall to the Cowboys. So when I look at defense, I don't believe Caleb Downs, Ruben Bain, Arvell Reese, I don't think they fall to the Cowboys. This is a no-brainer pick. David Bailey, he probably doesn't fall to the Cowboys. Kendrick Falk probably doesn't fall to. This is a no-brainer for the Cowboys. Go out there and get Mansour Delane. Just go get the best corner available. Bottom line, just go get the best corner available and don't even try to get nobody's retreads. These 2 players in the first round, the Cowboys need to hit. They need to hit. And I do think they're going to have some opportunities in free agency. I do think they'll have some opportunities. But we got to understand in the draft, if you want to save money, you can save money in the draft in the first round. And so you have got to go out there and get the best cornerback available. There will be some corners available, I think, in free agency. It all depends on what these other teams do. But again, we looked at this last night. There will be some defensive backs available, I believe. You know, you're kind of looking at the top 30 out there. Linebacker-wise, we'll see what happens with Quay Walker, Odafe Quay, another defensive end the Cowboys could possibly look at. Anybody on Seattle, you probably want to take a look at them. Tariq Woolen, Alontae Taylor. I'm not sure about him. I don't cover enough or look enough at the Saints to really know who he is. But there are going to be some guys out there. Devin Lloyd at the linebacker position. I think the Cowboys could do themselves some favors with him. Jalen Watson is going to be out there. I'm not sure if the Cowboys will want to pay that much for a corner, but nevertheless, I say even if they get a corner in free agency, I still say you go out there and get the best corner in college. That way you'll have 4 really good defensive backs. 4 really good defensive backs as far as the Cowboys go. So, man, I'm telling y'all, man, this Vic Fangio, if Christian Parker can come to Dallas and implement what I just showed you from Matty Dubs, if he can come out here and implement that, Cowboys they're going to be great. They are going to be great. I see here somebody broke this earlier, looking at what's over here on X. Somebody broke this earlier. The Cowboys are interviewing defensive line coach. So this means one of 2 things. They're moving on from White Cotton, And I'm going to tell y'all something about White Cotton, man. The Cowboys might not have been satisfied with White Cotton. Maybe they were not I mean, you got to think about it. Man, this guy, he had a pretty good defensive line in the grand scheme of things. Kenny Clark, Quentin Williams, also Diggy Zua, Solomon Thomas, James Houston, Donovan Ezeraku, Dante Fowler. I mean, he had a pretty good, Jadeveon Clowney, he had a pretty good defensive line. He really did. So who knows? Maybe one or two things. The Cowboys either feel like he's going to go over there with Robert Saleh, or number two, this is what Christian Parker wants. Maybe Christian Parker wants maybe he wants a different defensive line coach based on some of the things that he did over there in Philly. All right, let's check out some more stuff. People have been dropping videos. Bobby Belt dropped another video over here about Christian Parker explaining himself as it pertains to stopping.
You want to look the same.
Stopping quarterbacks. Let's listen to this.
As often as possible. The old thing was looking at the safeties. You want to read the weak safety. Is he lower than the other one? That means it's probably some type of cover 3 rotation. Are they deeper, cover 2? But now, because everybody's standing at 2 high shell, you look at the linebackers and the nickel. So my nickel, I can't be inside leverage one play, outside leverage another. Like I want to be zeroed up and then I want to step to my leverage post snap. So we want to keep the same picture from a secondary standpoint. And then everything you're doing with the front, from blitzes and stunts and everything, you want to just try to find out what the offensive lineman's rules are so you can kind of create what you want. So whether it's overloading one side to create a one-on-one somewhere else, you know what offensive lineman struggles with stunt games, and you're going to try to get that on him and isolate somebody else, whatever it is. So you leave the quarterback out of it in some of those aspects, you can affect other people on the field. Because a lot of teams, the offensive linemen are the ones who control the protection. So you want to do what you can to influence them. And then from our standpoint on the back end, it's just looking the same as much as we can to try to, talk them into doing some things that they don't want to do. You want to look the same as often as possible. The old thing was looking at one side to create a one-on.
Yeah, this guy, man, I'm telling you. I can tell you this. He can definitely talk football. And he can definitely talk football in a way to where it's kind of goo-goo gaga. I mean, when he talks football, I think a lot of us can even understand what this guy's saying. Let's look at something here. Brandon Laurie, let's see. Brandon Laurie dropped this from the Denver Broncos days. Let's check this out.
Like areas of improvement on some here.
Just finish strong, communication, eyes, and then just all the technical things we talked about.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Really clean.
Good, dog. Give yourself a little, get right there. I'll move back. Yep. Because you'll probably be, this is the position you want to be in for the go ball. And now I'm just going to sit it down like, ready? Good, there it is. Might have to redirect. Might have to redirect. Might have to redirect. There it is. Good, good. Sit down and get it. Sit down and get it. We got to turn those into 6 points.
Man! Boy, you can't help but get excited watching this dude, man. Watching him in practice. Man, this dude in practice. See, now I want y'all to remember what I told y'all yesterday. I have to remind y'all when we do 3-hour shows. I don't know if y'all remember. What did I tell you about Dan Quinn? And I think this is where Dan Quinn separates himself from a lot of coaches. Dan Quinn is a culture builder. And if you go back and look at Dan Quinn tape, Dan Quinn gets out there. Dan Quinn gets out there and he gets down and dirty with the players. He gets down and dirty with the players. And he builds a camaraderie that is different than a lot of defensive coordinators. Man, I'm telling you, this reminds me of some of the Dan Quinn stuff, of how he's out there, how he's talking, how he's teaching. He's young enough to get out there and do some of the things himself. Man, I'm telling you, that in itself is impressive to young guys. Man, young guys like this stuff. It's impressive. It's impressive just to watch this guy out here on the field. Let's check out some more of this.
Goody. First. Good. Burst. There it is. Burst. Yeah, get up. Good, good. Flip him. Flip and go, flip and go, flip and go. You gotta be patient while you're in the trenches right there. Okay, and just be ready to move lateral. But you're never in a hurry. You're never in a hurry.
Yeah. You want to know why this guy is producing some of the best defensive backs in football? Jair Alexander, which he ain't the same since he's been gone. Patrick Surtain, I mean, he was already good. This guy helped him get to another level. Now, Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. Man, I am excited for this guy to get a hold of Deron Bland, Savon Revel Jr., and the next cornerback that I believe we're going to get in the draft. This guy is nice, man. This guy is nice. Let me go back and read something. Rombowski said he's been following him. Rombowski said, I followed him at A&M a lot this past season. Okay, no, he's not talking about him. He says Cassius Howell was a beast some games and then disappeared in others. Okay, just ask Aggie. And I'd like to see 248 pounds be closer to 265 next level. There was a lot more impressive defensive ends in the college football playoffs beyond Howell. And this he talked about being a very deep draft at the defensive end position. Rombowski, I'm telling you now, the Cowboys can't lose. If the Cowboys lose, it's their fault. If they botch this draft, it's their fault. It is too many good players at the front end of this draft. Steve Campanella said Dean has not been the guy since drafted, has not been that good, but fair at best, and can't stay healthy, however. 93 Williams, brother linebacker. Yeah, I bet he's a Cowboy this season. Yeah, Steve Campanella. They tried to get him, if I'm not mistaken, they tried to get him in this trade. So, yeah, I believe the Cowboys are going to get him too. That's a name that I am definitely going to be listening for, is getting his brother. Man, I'm telling y'all, if Christian Parker, if he can come in here and do this stuff, if he can come in here and implement what we've been watching on film, I'm telling y'all now, we're moving to mid-pack, if not better. Reggie said, I like the pick. He's a better communicator. And I think that was one of the more glaring issues with our back end. Yeah, I mean, they got exactly what they needed. I think they absolutely got him what he needed. Absolutely got him what he needed. So, again, I think this is a great pickup for the Cowboys. I really do. Demetrius Noel. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there was some drop passes, but let's keep in mind, Demetrius, he did this with Green Bay. He did it with Denver. He did it to Dak Prescott in Green Bay. He did it to Dak Prescott in Denver. This guy is really good at what he does. This guy is really, really good at what he does. So at the end of the day, man, the Cowboys got to get him the players. It's just the bottom line. They got to give him the players. They just got to get him the players. If they get him the players, it's on and popping. Oh, yeah, this is a hoodie I have on, David Everett. Yeah, this is a hoodie. Yeah, I got this. The place I got this from, they don't have these anymore. Yeah, Reggie TX, difference is 5-2 defense typically use heavier linemen. Yeah, exactly. So, again, if the Cowboys wanted to, they could run a 3-4. In particular, I believe, with Donovan Ezeraku and Jadeveon Clowney. I think they could run that. Yeah, Mike T says we were not physical. Our players are fragile. Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, no doubt about it. So I think he's going to bring, he brings a different level of toughness. He brings a different level of toughness. So I'm excited. I'm excited about what the Cowboys are doing. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, them doggone, hey, Robert Dudley, man, people don't understand about them Philadelphia. Man, the Philadelphia Eagle fans is different, bro. Them boys different. What's going on, Jakira? Steve said, how is this in free agency? Bring back Clowney. Yeah, they're going to have to. Sign Hendrickson, sign Phillips. Boy, if they could sign both of those, that'd be incredible. Sign Q's brother at linebacker. I think that's going to happen. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick could maybe be a possibility. We'll see what happens. I think this is going to be a strange offseason. Then draft 2 defensive dogs in the draft, which I think they're going to do. I just don't think you can miss. Football fanatic, you're exactly right. You got to get better players. And that's why I say they got to get him better players. They have to get him better players for this to work. Because I think we got to stop. We got to stop saying that this was only the defensive coordinator. Nah, some of this was the players too. Some of this was the players too. So I think you got a better teacher. I think you have a better teacher. Now you got to get him better players because now you got a coach that can actually coach the players. And Baz, he said Dan Quinn was close, but not enough. Now, Baz, let me tell you something about Dan Quinn. I'm going to give Dan Quinn this. They didn't give Dan Quinn the players. I think the Cowboys defense is better with, I think the Cowboys under Dan Quinn, had they gave Dan Quinn Bobby Wagner, shoot, man. Dan Quinn with Bobby Wagner here, man, we probably would have been having a whole different conversation. We'd have been having a whole different conversation. Yeah, Reggie, and that's why I said we're not going to crown Parker just yet. And that's why I say I'm optimistic about him because where Parker got the college experience, I like the fact that he comes from a Super Bowl winning defense. Super Bowl winning defense. I like what I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be great. I think he's going to be able to do some good things. If the Cowboys will get him the players. And I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're going to give him the players. I absolutely do. I think they're going to give him the players. I think this year, again, I want to see quality over quantity. I don't want to see a whole bunch of players brought in like last year. Okay, you got your feet wet. You went out. You were active in free agency. I got it. I want them now to be quality over quantity. I don't need to see the Cowboys bring in 9 players in free agency. I would rather just see them bring in 3 top free agents, and then everything else is depth. Everything else is depth. So we just gotta get the players now, because nothing matters if you don't give him the players. I think we got the right guy, and if we don't got the right guy, we still have the right guy because we're not getting another defensive coordinator. I promise you. So this guy, he's gonna have to be the guy.
There it is. Good. You talk to him, Ron. You got him. Because naturally, when you take that footwork, you're gonna get a little more to his outside hip, right? All right. So you're just sitting, you're patient. Once you get here, don't press. Yeah. Just feel. You feel me? Yeah. And then you're going to be able to play off of it that way. All right, let's get another one. There it is, Ron. Good, 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 good. Patience early, stay in that cruise control phase, and then we got a race and we got to. All right. I just want to make sure that you know that you can come, you can talk to us, you can be honest. Coach, I didn't want to have to go to Pat and all them boys. You know what I'm saying? And you kind of give yourself a chance to kind of work on your craft this summer.
Hey, every time I look on Pat's side over there, it's been open.
It has? Why didn't Russ see it?
Exactly. Why didn't
If you saw it, why didn't Russ?
I'm telling you, every time I see over there somebody open, I'm gonna let y'all know. Y'all boys get better.
That's easy work. That's easy work. That's easy work. That's easy work. That was perfect. Good job. Good job. Where you going? Where you going? Where you going? Good job. Good job. Hey,
who's on this side?
Just you were in good position, right? If he wants to take that hard inside release, that's fine, but just give yourself enough room. Like, so run with me. Give yourself enough room that as soon as he runs that dig, all you got to do is slip right underneath it. If you get too tight, you're not going to feel it. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be feeling too much. Like we talked about in the meeting, right? Most important thing in the red zone, right? Communication, alignment, and eyes. Y'all did a great job with that this period.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this dude nice right here, man. Bad said the head coach will be the next scapegoat. You're right, G. Especially going back to what you said previously. Shotty has to put up a shut up now. Hey, Baz. They got him the guy. There's no doubt about it to me. Baz, they got him the guy. They got him the guy that fit the description of what he wanted. They got him the guy. And I think they got to follow through. Get him the players. You got the guy. Get him the players. And now you get to put Brian Schottenheimer on the hottest of hot seats for the next 2 seasons. But I'm going to look at this in a positive way. I think that Christian Parker is going to be fine. I think he's going to be fine. The Cowboys now have got to do the next part. Don't do what you did to Matt Eberflus. Get him the players. The Cowboys have got to stop just trying to bring coaches in here saying, well, this is what we have, coach it. Nah, man, you got an opportunity now. One of the safeties, I think I can't remember which one. I think his contract, they got him in a position where they can let him go. You don't have Trayvon Diggs. Kenneth Murray Jr. needs to be gone. You can put yourself in a situation to where you can get the players for this coach. And if you get this coach the players, I think he's going to be successful if you get him the players. You just got to get him the players. Yeah, Parker will work wonders, and that's tech. I think this is the very reason why they brought him in. They brought him in to help with the back end of this defense. That's what they brought him in for. And looking at what they're doing at defensive line, I want to see how this is going to develop as far as the defensive line goes, but it's really telling us something. It looks like White Cotton is probably going to be out of here. It looks like White Cotton is probably going to be out of here. White Cotton is probably going to Tennessee, which I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Hey, it is what it is. It's a football business. It's football business. And so he goes over there to Tennessee. I think Christian Parker, I think he'll be great. Bring in I hope this is one of his guys. Let me see. Maybe this is somebody that he knows. Yeah, Marcus Dixon. Maybe this is somebody that he knows. Dallas is preparing to lose defensive line coach Aaron White Cotton, who is drawing attention from the Titans DC job. And again, this is one of the things I talked about the other day, man. This game is about who you know. It's about who you know. Let me see here. Bass said he would put Quincy Williams and Minkah Fitzpatrick high on my free agency list right now, and maybe Devin Lloyd. Man, Devin Lloyd should be high on anybody's list. Boy, he'd be great. Reggie said he's not big on Quincy. Spent so much on run defense, he's not good in coverage at all. Okay. Bass said went from all in to selectively aggressive. Now we're going to bust the bank. All right, well, show me then, Jerry. Show me, Steven. Can't put it all on this draft. Yeah, they got to go in. They got to get this thing also. Free agency is first. I know a lot of people are spending a lot of time on mock drafts. But I'm telling you, man, my focus is free agency. Because you can't fix everything the Cowboys need to fix in the draft. Draft picks in the first round, yeah, they'll probably come out and play. But you got to get the free agency game right. And last year the Cowboys hit, but they missed more than they hit in free agency. This year, they got a hit. They hit in the trade game. But I don't think the Cowboys should be in the trade game this year. Because the only way the Cowboys can do any trading is that they're going to have to give up some draft capital. I don't want the Cowboys to give up any draft capital. The Cowboys need to stay in that first round in that top 22 times. Stay in there. I don't care nothing about day 2. Unless you can trade back no less than 2 to 3 spots, get back in that second round and still keep that number 12 and go no later than 23. If that'll get you a 2, get you a 2 if you can still get the player that you need. But they got to hit in free agency. They absolutely got to hit in free agency. There is no doubt about it. So, man, I appreciate y'all rocking with me today. Understand, man, not a lot of content out there about the Cowboys right now other than what we're doing. So, again, just like last season, I'm going to make it my business to get us all the way until the next season. Get us all the way to the next season. I think we have a lot to look forward to. I think we're going to be repeating some of the same subjects. I think that's what all the content creators, we're going to be repeating some of the same content. But at the same time, you know, there'll be some more depth to it as things to develop. So I'm excited. We got more to look forward to. I believe Christian Parker, the next thing is we'll start seeing his staff develop. And then before you know it, it's going to be March. And we'll be in the beginning of a new season. I'm excited. Who y'all got this weekend? Who do y'all have this weekend? Let's go to this playoff picture real quick. Is anybody else blown away that the Chargers picked this guy Mentor over Brian Flores? I mean, not the Chargers. The Ravens picked this guy Mentor over Brian Flores. Man, I'm telling y'all now, Brian Flores may not get another job. Brian Flores might not get another job, y'all, as a head coach. Because when you pick Mentor over Brian Flores, that's crazy to me. All right, before we get out of here, y'all tell me who you got. I'm going to tell y'all right now. I'm giving the Broncos a puncher's chance. I'm giving the Broncos a puncher's chance. I'm giving the Denver Broncos the Buster Douglas chance of beating the New England Patriots. I wouldn't count the New England Patriots beating the Denver Broncos as a sure thing. The Denver Broncos got a defense that I believe that they can turn Drake May over. I think their defense may be able to score about 10 to 14 points. I really do. I'm not going to count the Patriots as automatically beating the Broncos. The Broncos got a defense. If they can put the pressure on Patriots, I'm giving them a Buster Douglas chance. I'm giving them a Buster Douglas chance. I really am. Seahawks and the Rams. I'm going to tell you this. I think the Seahawks are the best team in football. But that last game against the Rams, man, they had some questionable stuff going on in that game, and a lot of people think the Rams should have won. The Rams, it all depends on who shows up. If the best Rams team shows up, nobody beating the Rams. But if that Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde team shows up, the Rams are going to make us think they're going to win the game in the first 3 quarters and they're going to lose the game in the 4th quarter. But I'm going to tell you this. I think both of these games are going to be better than y'all think. My mind is telling me it's going to be the Patriots and the Seahawks. But what I'm not going to be surprised at is if the Broncos find a way to beat the Patriots. Sean Payton is a master play caller. Yeah, no, hey, don't sleep on the Broncos. He's a master play caller. And I'm sure Sean Payton has told Vance Joseph, man, we need the best game you've got. We need everything you got. Broncos are going to do a number on Drake May. Y'all watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. The Broncos are going to do a number on Drake May. I'm not counting the Broncos out, guys. I'm telling you now, I'm not counting the Broncos out. I'm not counting them out. Seahawks and the Rams. I just think the Rams can beat anybody. They can also lose to anybody. That's their problem. They can beat anybody and they can lose to anybody. I think both of these games are going to be great. Yeah, you see me, Bass. I done got Keith Sweat and R. Kelly in the same stream. Oh, man. Oh, man. Hey, I'm telling y'all right now. Y'all better, you better get your popcorn for these two games. Y'all better get your popcorn for these two games. Those doggone, Denver is coming to win. They're coming to win. Offense scores points. Defense wins championships. I'm going to tell y'all right now. I think the Denver Broncos are going to give Drake May more than he can handle. They're going to give him more than he can handle. Now, in order for the Broncos to win, I do think their defense is going to have to score points. I think they got to find a way to score. I think they got to find a way to score 10 to 14 points. They need an interception return. They need a strip sack fumble. They need to maybe get some fourth down stops in case they do some stuff like that. But they have got to get themselves in a situation where maybe they score a touchdown and maybe they get a turnover on the other side of the field and get 10 to 14 points. Real estate vet, Cowboys after dark. You know what? Not tonight, but probably sometime this weekend. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Bass, he said, hey, Stidham, man, you watch what I tell you. You watch what I tell you, bro. Bass, Jarrett Stidham is playing with house money, bro. Don't nobody think this dude gonna win. Sean Payton gonna put a game plan together for him. He is. Hey, Quentin, yeah, they egged the OC house. Hey, man, them dudes in Philly crazy. All right, guys, these are my picks. With my mind, I'm picking the Patriots and the Seahawks. But the other part of me is saying, I'm not going to be surprised if the number 1 seed Broncos, even without Bo Nix, beats the Patriots because the defense puts up an incredible performance. An incredible performance. I'm going with the Rams with the other part of me that if the Rams show up that almost beat the Seahawks the last time they saw them, don't be surprised if it's the Broncos and the Rams. That's where I am. Reggie, I always give two sides. I always give two outcomes when I call. I never give who gonna win or lose just straight out. I give you what will happen and I give you what can happen. So, if I'm going with my mind, Reggie, I'm going with the Patriots and the Seahawks. But that other part of me, I'm telling y'all right now, the Broncos are about to give Drake May everything he can handle. Y'all watch what I tell you. I'll be shocked if the Broncos don't turn Drake May over twice. Fumble, interception, or 2 interceptions, or 2 fumbles. I'll be shocked if they don't turn him over twice. The Broncos are going to blitz Drake May so many times in so many different ways. This man is going to have trauma after the game. Watch what I tell you. Watch what I tell you. Man, the Broncos, y'all got to understand, man, the Broncos ain't got nothing to lose. The quarterback is out. Jarrett Stidham is in. Man, I don't give a doggone. Man, I might send 9 rushers after Drake May in this game. I don't give a doggone. They can line up 4 wide receivers. I'm gonna rush 9. Reggie, I'm just telling you what I'm gonna do, Reggie. I'm playing with house money now. I'm just telling you what I'm doing. I'm playing with house money. But I do believe it's probably going to be, like I said, if I'm going with the status quo, it'll be the Patriots and the Seahawks. But if I'm going with the other part of me, y'all better stop underestimating the Broncos. Because I'll be honest with you, I think they're here anyway because of the defense. Don't get me wrong, Bo Nix has done a couple of good things this year. I think they're here because of the defense. And I think if they can keep this to about a 13-point game, y'all watch what I tell you. They can beat the Patriots without Bo Nix. If they can keep that game in the 13 to 17 range, I'd guarantee you Sean Payton can manufacture about 10 points. And if that defense can make a commitment to getting a touchdown or some turnovers and putting them in very, very short fields, watch what I tell you. That Broncos-Patriots game, Shoot, watch what I tell you. That game gonna be way closer than people think. And I'm gonna tell you, Vance Joseph win that game. Shoot, man, Vance Joseph is gonna be a head coach this season. He gonna be a head coach next year. And I'm telling y'all, the Rams, shoot, whoever shows up, they're Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But again, we're gonna come back tomorrow and we're gonna talk about this some more. Broncos, Patriots, Seahawks, Rams. And then if there's some news, we'll talk about the Cowboys too. Again, I appreciate y'all rocking with me tonight, man. It's not a lot to talk about with the Cowboys, but we try to make it a lot. Until the next time, I'll see y'all later. DC4L, God bless. Let's talk Cowboys when we talk facts. Peace.